Hello guys, welcome to another video here. We are studying circles today. This is on page 407. I always like to give you the page number so you can use it as a reference and you're gonna see where we're at. Last time we did circles, a little bit of circles. We were working, well, it wasn't actually circles, it was the midpoint formula and the what was the other one? And the distance formula. But those formulas are related to a formula that I'm going to give you today, which is the equation of a circle. Okay, so the equation of a circle. That's what we're going to need in this. So on page 407, you're going to find the equation of the circle. And it's the following. If you have a center, and if you have a center H and K, okay, that's a point, and H and K just represent a integer or a number. And then you have a radius. Okay, remember, if you have a circle, the radius is now right there. Okay, if you have a radius R, then the equation is the following. Then we can write an equation using that, and it's the following. It's x minus, and the h is what changes, okay? The h is this h right here. Square plus y minus, and then we have k, again, I'm gonna write k square. Let me actually change that colors there. Is equal to, then we have r square. Okay, so that right there is what we call the equation of a circle. So in this problems right here, and by the way, you are going to be doing this worksheet with me, because this worksheet you will be submitting it later on as well. So it says use the information provided to write the standard form equation, which is this right here. This will be my standard form equation, and we are going to write an equation of giving that information right there. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on that. Well, first of all, we have our center, that is -2, and that would be 2. And then we have our radius. They're saying that that's the square root of 7. In this case, the h is -2. This right here, the 2 will be my k. And this, of course, will be my r. So I'm going to plug that into the equation so we can have an equation. So first of all, we have x. It would be kind of cool if I were able to copy all of this. No, I cannot. I was trying to do. I wish I could just select all of those and just copy and paste, but whatever. So we have x minus, well, the h in this case is -2, so we're going to put -2 square plus y minus, then we have a 2. Okay, this and this are different. Those are not the same thing. So we have to, if it says -2, we have to write both of them in there. And then we have the square root of 7 square. Now let's simplify it a little bit. This and this, when you have two negatives, that turns into a positive. So we have x plus 2 square plus y minus 2 square is equal to, well, when you square a radical, it gets rid of it, so you get 7. and this right here will be an equation. If I were to put this on decimals, I will get a circle with that right there. All right, let me do another one here. So once again, if you have the center H and K with radius R, okay, the formula or the equation will be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So what I'm going to do is, what they're giving me there is the center and the radius. So I'm going to erase the h, and in this case the h is a 10. And in this case I'm going to erase the k, and the k in this case is a -6. I'm going to write -6 right there. Okay, and then the r is a 5, so I'm going to put a 5 right there. So we have x minus 10 squared plus this and this will turn into a positive. We got y plus 6 squared is equal to 5 squared is going to be 25. And this right here will be the equation that we needed in here. All right, so I want you guys to do 2 and 4. You're going to use those that formula that you can find on page 407. Let's go ahead and move on. It says in here, identify the center and the radius of each. This round is a little bit more difficult because what they're asking you to do is to rewrite this in such a way that it kind of looks like that right there. Why? If, like for example, if I look at this formula right here, I know that the center is hk, and I know what the radius is. I know the radius is the square root of that, which is 5, and I know the radius. Automatically I can tell that it's 10 and -6. So we want to rewrite this so that it looks like something like that. And that could be a little bit challenging, but it's not too bad. You will see what we need to do in here. All right, first step, we're going to put all the x's together and we're going to put all the y's together. So we got x squared and then 26x there. Okay, and then I'm going to put all the y's together. We got y squared plus 26y. And then what I'm going to do is this 302, I'm actually going to move it to the other side. And then I'm going to do what we call completing the square. Okay, so completing the square, what is that? That's something that we saw in algebra 1. It was, I think it was pretty difficult. Or actually we might have seen it before in algebra 2, but in the first semester. And to complete the square, and we need to do that because we have a perfect square right here. Okay, to complete the square, what we did was we divided this by 2 and then we squared that. We squared that. So, you know, divide by 2. Okay, so 26 divided by 2 was 13. And then we're going to square that. Well, 13 squared, I believe that's 169, but let me just verify that. Yeah, 169. And that's what I'm going to be adding right here. And you're going to see why in a second, why I'm doing that. But if I add 169 to one side, I better add it to the other side as well. I'm going to do the same for the y's as well. So I'm gonna take this 26, that's the one in the middle. We divide it by 2, and I'm hoping you guys have seen this before. It's called completing the square. If you haven't seen this before, I recommend that you watch a video online or something. It's called completing the square, and it will explain a little bit more about that. And here I can't take that long to explain that because then it's just gonna be too much. So 26 divided by 2, that's 13. I'm gonna square that and I'm gonna get 169. It's the same thing. Okay, and then I have to add 169 as well in here. All right, so why did I do that? Well, the reason why I did that is because now I can factor this and I can factor this into what we call a perfect square. That's why we were completing the square. Okay, so now let's go ahead and factor this. How do I factor this? Well, it's actually very simple. It would be x plus 13 squared. Now, where did I get this 13 from? That 13 you can get by dividing by 2 as well. Okay, that 26. Same idea with this. In here, you're going to get y plus 13 squared. Okay. Now let's add the 169 plus 169 minus 302. That will be 36. Now, what is my center? Remember, the center is h and k. But if you put 13 as h, that would be wrong because on the formula, it's actually x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So you can't really put h. In order to get positive 13, you actually need to put negative 13. So it's always the opposite. So that's all you have to know. It's always the opposite of what you see. If you see a plus 13 there, then it's going to be negative 13. Because if I plug in negative 13 there, then I will get negative, and a negative will equal positive 13. And that's why it's opposite. And then the radius, well, what will be the radius here? Well, 6 squared will be 36. It's kind of like this. R squared is equal to 36. That means that the radius will have to be 6. So there is my center, and there is my radius. So that's, I'm pretty sure, that's a little bit more difficult than we have seen before. I'm going to do a couple more examples, and then hopefully this starts clicking a little bit more. All right, so I'll do number 7. If you want to hold on to number 6 and not do that yet, and then wait for me to do number 7, that's fine as well. So I'll do another example here. Once again, we have x squared plus y squared minus 20x plus 24. We're going to put the x's together, so we have x squared minus 20x, and I'm going to leave some space right there. And then we have y squared, and the y squared I'm actually going to leave it alone because there's nothing else in here. And the 84, we always bring it to the other side. All right, so on this one here, I'm going to complete the square. How do I do that? Well, you divide this by 2, and then you square that. So you get negative 10, and then negative 10 squared is 100. That is what you put right there. But if I'm going to add 100 there, I need to add it to here as well. Now in here, there's nothing really you have to do in there. but I do want you guys to see something. I'm going to erase that and put y minus 0 squared. That is really what you have. Okay? So now I'm going to have x minus 10 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to negative 84 plus 100 is 16. Now, how did I get negative 10? Well, you just have to divide by 2, that one right there, to get that negative 10. So negative 20 divided by 2, you get that negative 10. Remember, it's a perfect square, so that's how we factor perfect squares. Then the center in here, okay, is always the opposite. So if it's negative 10, it's going to be positive 10. If it's 0, well, 0 doesn't change, so it's just going to be 0. And then the radius, well, r squared is 16. That means that r is 4, because 4 squared is 16. Okay? So that's how we do those there. Alright, so let's keep going. You're going to be doing number 8 as well. Number 9, let's get that one done. So we have x squared minus 22x, and then we have y squared plus 16y is equal to, I'm going to bring this 160 to the other side. Here's what you need to do. You're going to divide this by 2, so negative 11, square that, you get 121. You're going to add that to this side as well. Then this one here, 16 divided by 2 is 8, and then 8 squared is 64. Then you're going to add that 64 right there. Okay, now we're going to factor that. That will be x minus 11. How did I get 11? You divide the 22 divided by 2. You get negative 11. This one will be y plus 8. 16 divided by 2 will give you that 8 right there. So we got negative 160 plus 64. That will be 25 is what I got. So the center for this one will be 11, and then negative 8. It's always the opposite, remember. And then the radius, as you can see, must be 5. So this problem, the problems are not, hard to do, but then this part right here is what confuses some people. Okay, so now you're gonna do number 10. All right, so in this one here, we're going to identify the center, and then we're going to do the radius, and then we're going to do a sketch of a graph right there. So the center is very easy to tell what it is just by looking at this. So remember, it's always the opposite. We have 4, and then we have 3. And then the radius, well, what's the square root of 1? Well, that's just going to be 1. So let's look for 4 and 3. So 4 and 3 is right there. The radius is 1. So the radius is 1, 1, and then 1. And let's go ahead and draw a circle right there, and that will be my sketch. Okay, on number 12, we have to remember that we have x minus 0 squared. That's how you kind of want to write it, so you can tell where to put it. Okay, so I want you guys to do that one right there. What is the center, and then what is the radius? I'll do another one here. So in here, the center will be 4. It's always the opposite. So 4 and then negative 1. and then the radius is going to be the square root of 5, which is kind of hard to graph, but it shouldn't be too bad. So let's look for 4 and -1. 4 and -1 can be found right there. And then, let's see, the square root of 5, if I go to my calculator, the square root of 5 is 2.23. So if I write it as a decimal, it kind of helps me. So 2.23 is kind of close to 2.25, so just a rough estimate. It's just a little bit more than 2 right there. And then right here as well, a little bit more than 2, and then a little bit more than 2, and then a little bit more than 2. Okay, so that right there will be good for a circle. My circles are terrible, by the way, so hopefully you can draw better circles than me. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done, guys. This one is the same idea, but they're a little bit more challenging because now we have to do what we just did before. We have to figure out what the center is. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, so let's find the center. First of all, we have x squared plus y squared. I'm going to write everything down in here. The x, you're going to put it together with this one here. We have x squared minus 6x. And I know I'm going to add something here, so I'm going to leave some space there. And then I have y squared, which I'm going to write as y minus 0 squared, because I don't have anything y related anymore. So then here, what is it that I'm going to add? Well, we have to divide the 6, divide by 2, that gives us -3. Then we square that, and that's what we put right there on the 9. So now, how do I rewrite this? So now I'm going to add 9 right there. Now it's going to be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 9. So the center for this will be 3, and then we have 0 for y, and then the radius will be 3, not 9, 3. Why? Because it's 3 squared. 9, the square root of 9 is 3. So we're going to go to the center, which is 3, 0. So 3, 0 is right there. And then the radius is 3. So 3 there, 3 there, 3, and then 3 right there. We're going to draw my sketch here. Terrible circle. Let me zoom in to see if I can draw a better circle. That's still terrible, by the way. Well, I can't really draw a circle, guys. Sorry about that. But if you draw something like that, I'll be happy. Alright, so let's do one more, and then we'll be done with this video. We have x squared. We need to find that center and that radius. We got x squared. We're going to put the x's together, -6x. We're going to leave some space there because I need to complete the square. We got y squared plus 6y. And then the 9, I'm actually going to put it on this side, so it's going to be -9. Now let's go ahead and complete the square. You're going to divide that -6 by 2 and then square that. So -6 plus divided by 2 is -3. And then -3 squared is going to be 9. That's what we're going to be adding on this side as well. Then we have 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then 3 squared is also going to be 9. So we're also going to be adding a 9 right there. So now let's complete the squared, or let's factor this. This will be x minus 3 squared. Remember, we always divide that -6, and that's how we get that -3 right there. And then y plus 3 actually this time, because we have a +6 right there, is equal to, well, this and this cancel, so we get a 9 right there. That means that the center is always the opposite. We have +3 and then -3, and the radius is going to be the square root of 9, which is 3. Alright, so we have the center is 3 and -3. So 3 and -3, I believe that's right there. And then the radius is 3, once again. 1, 2, and 3 right there. 3 right there, 3 right there, and 3 right there. We draw a circle right there. And that's all we gotta do. Okay? Alright, so I'll have you guys do number 18 for me and the rest of the problems. So you got 9 problems to do for this one right here. Okay? Well, I'll see you guys on the next video.